Back-to-school savings are officially in session at Tanger Outlets. Shop tax-free August 2nd through 6th and save up to 70% off the latest school styles. The best of apparel, footwear, accessories, and more. Save at Nike Factory Store, American Eagle, Gap Outlet, Crocs, Under Armour, Banana Republic Factory, and hundreds more. There's always something happening. Discover the latest fun and events all season long. Tanger Outlets, your savings destination.
Well. A new Batman series is here. Cool. Alright. I like the art style. I like that he's facing against a gender-bend penguin. I mean, it ain't too far to come by these days, you know? It's just like, you just gonna have to accept that stuff. But, it looks like it's got about the same people that's working on this that worked on, the original Batman show in the 90s. Okay. Not original, you know, the original one's from the 60s, but yeah, definitely got that Batman the animated series feel. Okay, I'm with it. Let's let this one sell this time. Boy, howdy, I hope a lot of them old fans are going to come out and say, well, you know, yada, and then they all complain when somebody calls them out on their age and all that stuff, and then they got the nerve to want to be upset about stuff. Batman's for everybody, man. And so there's a lot of cultural icons, but I think sometimes we the people just are going through the modern middle-age crisis. And they say everybody got one. And this is the perfect time to talk about it, because welcome to the J-Man Show here on
J360 Radio!
Hey, how's it going, J360 Legion? What is happening? This is J-Man, of course, and welcome to the J-Man Show, episode 342. And man, it feels so good to be back behind the mic right now. I've been having a real busy week. You know, I've been juggling administrative work in addition to performance work, so yeah, dims the brakes, man, the cross to bear, but I love every damn bit of it. And you know, what would it be in a non-jams week and all? Well, it technically is me getting all the stuff together for that too. 97 is booming! Like, you guys really want to be on this program, and I'm very happy to see that. So, you know, like, yes, keep this up. Like, you know, let's grow, baby. This is up to us. You heard what I said on the mini bite. We all work together. Now, that being said, though, you know, like, when I do this series and stuff, now, you might disagree with my takes, and that's not bad. Disagreeing is okay. It lets me know that another person's perspective, and not to mention their ideal, is different than mine. And I like that. You know? It just depends on what the hell we're arguing about from time to time. And I usually tell that to a lot of people on my staff, and I also tell it to other people I work with, such as Al and other creators out there. You know, it gets kind of hard because everybody wants to be liked by everybody. I always try to go for the idea of, hey, look, I was there the whole time. You could have approached me at any point, but you never did, and that is your choice. You see what I'm saying? Like, when I made the J-Man Show, I made the J-Man Show to tell the truth. I didn't make it to be liked. I made it because I had something to say. And you see, one way or another, as I say what I say, and I've been doing it for close to about 9 seasons now, I'm really feeling good about it. And I'm never going to change, you know? And it's just like, with the way the world is, from time to time, I notice a lot of changes taking place that you could say are unnecessary, such as like the whole thing that they're trying to do in schools now with taking away kids' cell phones and putting them somewhere. Whereas you don't see the teacher giving up their cell phone, do you? You know what I'm saying? And I always wonder, like, during moments where they have free periods or all that kind of stuff, or during, like, holiday breaks or whatever, like, you know, because sometimes you do, like, little holiday parties. I'm wondering if, like, do they use their cell phones then or whatever? And then I also wonder, like, are the parents even teaching their children to be responsible about all this new stuff? Or are they, once again, just placing the blame on other things because that's what people do? And you've seen these kind of arguments before, right? You've seen them before. Like, a long time ago, it was about gay marriage or what's appropriate. Do trans students need to be on opposite gender teams and stuff? It's always a lot of conversations about this that have, once again, no clear-cut end to them. And I always wonder, are we even solving the problem at this point, or are we always just reaching that moment where, we have consensus, but we don't know where to go from here? Like a moot point, if you will. And it's little things like that sometimes dive into things that we enjoy in terms of consumption, in terms of streaming and all that stuff. Yes, there are a lot of gadgets on cell phones these days. Yes, AI is almost everywhere, but AI, from what I heard, is getting dumped by companies now because people are not responding to it on a large scale like this. In some cases. But I always say this, though. Look, we the people, we are not mature enough, even as adults, to handle all this new technology coming around us. I think, like, sometimes we get to that level, but then there's that whole moment for things to go wrong, like things going wrong in the wrong hands and all that stuff, because nobody's aware of it. And a lot of the AI stuff, as I told you on this show before, is in gray areas. Now, businesses love to aim for gray areas because, it's my word against your word and all that other stuff going down. You know what I mean? Because it's not new yet. But there's going to be a day where either a major class action lawsuit or something goes down when one of these companies overstep their boundary and all. And matter of fact, I think Adobe is like one of them, but the shoe hasn't dropped yet. It's just a sign of how far these tech companies and corporations out here will go to either save a quick buck or at one point try to sell stuff without permissions. And that's really, really fucked up. Even while I'm leading a media company and stuff like that. I don't want AI in the production of my work. I would like AI to be like, AI would be great if it handles some more administrative work, but also at the same time, it's like, what is the hardest thing in the world to get, to be honest with you? What is the one thing that everybody gets judged on, but at the same time, when people are going for it, they always try to measure us on? Experience. Experience is it. Say if you're going for an entry-level job, somebody will say that, oh, you're not paid enough for any of that stuff. But you went for an entry-level job because you wanted to get that experience in addition to that pay so you can level up. You see what I'm saying? Startups are very important, but startups are getting wiped out because they're given to either people who don't really want that job or know their worth, but at the same time, the company or whomever they're working for does not trust them enough to take on so much responsibility because they don't think they're ready for it. So they put you into these little grunt jobs in order to get you where you want to be at and stuff. And you talk about what the ideal is, and then, not to mention, sometimes they weed people out on it. You see what I'm saying? Because it's entry level. It's expendable at best, and at worst, like, you really don't get all the bells and whistles and stuff because you went for a trial, if anything. Now, once you get about your 90 days in and all that stuff, then they go ahead and they're like, oh yeah, we've been looking at you and seeing what you've been doing, and maybe we'll consider you for this job if you go ahead and you put in your application and all that stuff. Oh, well, and then come find out a few weeks later, well, we want somebody else because they have more experience. And that person that has more experience probably did not have experience at that job you applied for. Everything is always a shot in the dark, it seems like, right? Like a gamble, like one way or another, we're all jumping through hoops for something, and then in the end, it seems like it's always for nothing too. And then now they give that job over to computers and stuff like that. It gets people in a whole lot of xenophobia. It gets a lot of people all amped up about bizarre takes and all that stuff, and say, well, why am I here for and everything? Well, you know what? To be perfectly honest, we're here to solve problems. We're here to figure it out. We're here to do these things. And not only that, just because you get like a certain position somewhere, doesn't mean you stay there. If a certain job doesn't respect you, but you remember the time that you put in, you go find your other job. You go find all that other stuff and go ahead and level yourself up. I see people complain about the damnedest shit, and I'm going to tell you one thing, it's never going to be easy. Alright? And some of y'all, if you're not careful, they'll try to use your age against you. See, companies love going for the easy way out. They love going for people who are younger and all that other stuff, because I know some of y'all are in that 40-50 trap where they're like, well, we're wondering about it. And you see it, they're not going to outright tell you it because it's illegal. Like all that crazy shit, like the only time they'll ever throw your age discrimination up is if you work in public office or if you're like a dignitary or some stuff. Say, damn, you're pretty old. Maybe you should go retire or go to Florida or that other stuff. Which, by the way, age discrimination is a form of discrimination. I will happily let you know that. And as I'm telling you all this stuff about the job market, these are some of the fears that are out here that people in the talking town are always saying about. But at the same time, it's like it's up to us to really figure it out. See, when you work at a company or something like that, even if it's my company or whatever, the thing is that you also are in charge of your own life and what you want to do and where you want to go to and stuff like that. And there's nothing out here that's telling you that you can't do these things. There's nothing telling you that you can't start anything. And note, I'm not even using genders or any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? We're all adults here. We should be able to run things. And life is not fucking fair. It never has been. At all. And then you always, I saw some people saying this, the boomers promised us a world that we could go ahead and cultivate into our own. Yeah, did they tell you it was going to be easy? Did they tell you that, everybody was going to like you? Did they tell you that everybody was going to celebrate your gender outside of the month of June? Did everybody tell you that they were going to be your friend and they love your relationship with, whoever the bombshell you're dating is? And note, I didn't say anything about hair color or any of that stuff. Or did they trust whomever you were going to go out with and everything? Or have your best intentions? No, they never said any of that stuff. And there are older people out here that dump down on the younger people because, once again, things have changed, and they didn't see it that way. They only see it to the way that they left it. So any of this stuff right here is it's always a revolving door of blame. And that's really, really sad. Oh, movies just don't hit anymore. But yet we're still over here holding certain movies on a pedestal. Now, I agree. There is no real reason for, Terminator to have 6 movies in it. But it does. And hell no, that last one sucked. Matter of fact, I'm glad when that game Resistance came out, Terminator Resistance, by the way, even though the Resistance series itself should come back, I'm being very honest. But Terminator Resistance is a good cleanup for Salvation going into Genesis, even though I do like Genesis in a way, but it's 4, 5, and 6 movies that came out. Because those movies were just straight trash. It just, the reason behind a lot of this stuff, and I say this a lot, is that, a cash grab, and then, everybody's always trying to push a narrative, and it's not even the narrative of the movie. Nowadays, you got Gen Z complaining about every damn thing because they're just tired of shit. It's funny, though, they didn't really experience a whole lot of things outside of maybe COVID, but they're tired of shit. Probably because a lot of the crap they had to deal with and all that stuff. I always say F Gen Z because you know what? I always say go for a little bit more mileage ahead of time before you even do this crap. Or if anything, if you're really that angry about it, try to make change, but make change for the right reasons and not a selfish one. Make a change that tries to benefit everyone. And I say try because God knows you can't please everyone, especially in art. And the crazy part about censorship is, well, nowadays, everybody wants to censor somebody else's work, but they want to live freely expressed. Isn't that wild? You see that a lot with a lot of Karens and male Karens running around out here. I used to call them Carls and Steves, but I think a lot of people call them... everybody's got a name, too. We're supposed to be that generation or that whole thing where we don't label people, but we got more labels and all this other crap for all of our quirks and all that stuff about how we get through in life. And it's so damn stupid. I'm just saying this. Why do we limit ourselves? Why do we have to hold each other like this? I mean, you call it being accountable, but in a way, it's just shaming each other. And then there's the whole thing where a lot of us in Gen Y, we feel like our dream got away from us. Maybe in a way we kind of got away from our dreams because, they were too hard or people were not supportive or, those that didn't care. I remember having a hard time doing J360 Productions back in the early day because it seemed like just nobody was supportive. You know what I mean? Nobody cared. Everybody was all wrapped up in their own things or they were all sold in their ways. And the funny thing is they were in their early 20s and they made this settling and all this crap. And then, of course, there are my all-time favorite, the indecisive motherfuckers. The ones that come out of nowhere, Say they're going to do something, and then in the last few minutes or something like that, I don't know. And then they always do the I don't know as a way of trying to say, like, that is a strong statement. I don't know can be a real placeholder sometimes, because the thing about it is, I don't know just cancel stuff. It's kind of like maybe. Maybe is more like a placeholder word, if anything. Because it could go one or two ways, right? There's no conclusiveness to it. But if you see stuff through, things are a lot more fulfilling. Like, hey, don't go on that date. You don't know where it's going to go. It could go one or two ways, up or down. And if it goes up, hey, fulfilling, right? If it goes down, also fulfilling, just not positive. If there's no sparks flying and stuff like that, that's a beautiful way to say, like, you know what? It just didn't work out. We're moving on. But a lot of y'all do that ghost, that one and done, all that other stuff because of some bullshit. Or then, like, you ever see yourself going into an assignment and then all of a sudden you start pointing out the negatives of an assignment rather than, like, actually just going and following through? Have you ever seen that? Like, say, like, if you're on a shoot or something like that and it's with a crew that you never worked with, you don't even know this crew, but because you don't know this crew and you're afraid of even trying, you're going to go ahead and start pinpointing out, oh, what if they don't like me? What if they see me this way? Or what if, guess what, my camera's not good enough to work with their camera? Or like, what if I'm not going to be on the right staffing part? Or I just can't stand people, and then you start playing sick and all that stuff because you amped yourself up on all the negatives and crap. And then at the end of the day, you get to a point where it's like, you done played that game so many times, burned so many bridges, nobody's even taking a shot on you because they know what role that you're taking. And you can go ahead and say, that's not me, that's not what I'm all about, that's not the way I do things. But it was. You did not follow through. You flaked. You found a way to run away and make yourself unavailable. But, in this society, though, they also say, for every choice that you make, it is an important choice, and it is a valid choice, and it should be accepted. Yes, we keep saying that, but we don't talk about the ramifications behind every choice, right? We don't talk about, like, all the important things, such as, like, when you go ahead and you do that stuff, people will allow it one time, but any other time, they probably will not deal with it. And what you could do is find the strength within and say, like, you know what? I'm not feeling this. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, close the book, but don't leave it open and say, oh, but I'll be available next time. You got to at least make an attempt, make a try, make this happen so that you grow from it. And if people like what you do, you'll start getting calls and you'll start getting a lot more leads coming your way and other people wanting to work with you because now they trust you. Now you got the experience, and now that you got the experience, it outweighs all that stuff, and nobody will even think about your age at that point because you have a long record. See what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. And just like even me starting J360 Productions, I had to run with that. There are people I do want to work with. I would love to work out with Clock Out Films. And you know what? The truth is, it will happen someday. It just wasn't going to happen right now because I'm over here working on all this stuff. But, like with other places like Troma, I'd love to work with them. Or, Full Moon Productions, stuff like that. And that's just like, once again, that's growing your resume and that's being about something. Or, working with Delaware Public Radio on the weekends and stuff. And I'm not name dropping these things. I'm just talking about opportunities and things that I like looking into. And there's nothing wrong with going for a few opportunities. Just make sure you can do them. Now, there are people who are workaholics, bury themselves in their work, and at the end of the day, they're not really helping either. Because sometimes you need to take time for you, too. You just need to make choices about it. And the way our society is, they will glorify one lifestyle or one aspect of you without thinking about the other aspects of you. Which is why, like, whenever they do, like, LGBTQ type ads and stuff, I always say this. Look, it's amazing that these people are brave enough being out here talking about their lifestyle and being open about it and going about and, educating people. But it's a whole different thing if you are broadcasting just that one side of them. You know what I'm saying? It's doing a real disservice, But Hollywood's been doing that stuff for years. Hollywood loves it because Hollywood loves to play with them as much as they love to play with minorities because they see that one aspect and they elevate it. Think about it. What do you see out of, a lot of times, the rainbow symbol, right? Or any of the flaming, stereotypical type of ways where there are probably, and there are, a lot of people with more variations to them that you cannot pinpoint them down like that. Or like, such as like, those that live in like inner city and all that stuff. A lot of them are not about crime. A lot of them are out there going to work and coming back. They know what neighborhood they live in. Don't get it twisted. But once again, you're elevating something and you're throwing out all the other things. Such as like some of the people that lived in projects. No, it was not their dream to live and stay in a project. But you know what? They took the time to make the best out of it, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times with all this racism and stuff floating around and everything, this racism is nothing compared to the other racism, because the other racism was blatant and in your face as hell. This racism that's coming out nowadays, people are trying to feign it off as a joke or as ignorance and all this other crazy stuff, and racism is ignorance. But the thing about it is, it's just like people play with it because they feel as though it's shocking and the shock value of it. Me, I look at it, I'm like, wow, I look at it like people's crutch and ways to do things and stuff. Because one thing is, as soon as you trap somebody in that stuff, it's hard for them to get out, and it's such a bad look that one way or another, anything...
Back to school savings are officially in session at Tanger Outlets. Shop tax-free August 2nd through 6th and save up to 70% off the latest school styles. The best of apparel, footwear, accessories, and more. Save at Nike Factory Store, American Eagle, Gap Outlet, Crocs, Under Armour, Banana Republic Factory, and hundreds more. There's always something happening. Discover the latest fun and events all season long. Tanger Outlets, your savings destination.
They say goes against them, just like a liar that you catch. It's all a damn shame, really. But as I say this, the episode here is all about the modern midlife crisis. When we talk about things from our value and we talk about all this other stuff, why do we dumb it down to like, oh man, I'm 35 and I'm not making it? Motherfucker, I'm 37. Do you know that? I'm 37 and things are starting to click. It just fucking happens. Sometimes you may not make that $250,000 when you like in your 20s. I mean, there are people that got lucky. There are people that, those that helped along the way to get where they needed to be. But, that's just the way it is. Some of us don't pop off until, like, much, much later. Hell, some of us probably won't even pop off until we're Colonel Sanders' age. I mean, heaven forbid, but it happens. Like, everybody's story is different. And the fact that, whatever age you are, there are stories that you can tell with that age. You know what I'm saying? But, what we do is we judge each other on anything. And then, like, when we want to go for things or when we want to do certain things, it's always held against us. Or, like, say, like, if, in a weird way, if you're 50 and you're dating, like, a 25-year-old girl, I mean, granted, when you were 25, that girl was non-existent. She wasn't on any sort of paper, as a matter of fact. One busted condom, and then everything changed in 25 years when she came into existence. And you were here for 25 years, and you're 50. It happens. There's a lot of weird stories, y'all. But, if it happens like that, they're both adults, and the best thing we can do is just, shrug at it and move on. However, if you're 50 and you got a 20-year-old person, there's a lot of questions behind that. But anyway. What I'm saying also is that there are people out there who will go above and beyond to make you feel bad about shit, to devalue you, to lesser you, to make it seem like the odds are against you, to make it seem like a certain age is your time limit, to make it seem like, nobody's ever going to get far. I know a lot of women have a problem with this because of the biological clock and all that stuff about, oh, you got to have a baby before you're 40 or something like that, because if not, the kid will have, like, ailments and all that stuff. And you don't think that doing all them hard-ass drugs and shit like that when you were in your 20s and stuff wouldn't have anything to do with it, right? And I'm not talking about, like, people that willfully choose to be on drugs. I'm talking about those that, have to take drugs in order for their bodies to function and all that kind of stuff. People suffer from different things, too. But what I'm saying is, it's like, you do realize that a lot of that reproduction stuff and a lot of all those things that we all grew up educating ourselves on or were educated on is outdated. There are women in their 40s dropping babies like back to back to back. I mean, the reason why we have a population crisis now is because some of them decided to do those things. You know, some do it, through the test tube, and then some of them do it through surrogates, which also is test tubes. And then there are some that do it based off of getting their gay friend to get all up in that. Don't ask. But that's a thing. And then, of course, friends with benefits and relationships. It's wild, but it happens. I mean, the damnedest things, y'all. But what I'm saying is, though, why do people look at the 30s like the 30s are a problem? Like, everybody goes through it seems like with every decade we all go through the 5 stages of grief, don't we? Like, you know what I'm saying? When you're in your young adult life where it's like, you're 18 and 20s and all, you're all like, you're angry as shit by the time you get to 30, right? Because, that's regrets and shit. Like, oh, nobody loves me anymore. I'm 30. I'm not going to make it. I'm a loser and all that stuff. How the fuck are you a loser at 30? I mean, unless you didn't really go for things, or unless you're, sitting there still at that entry-level job, or, going for all the low-tier work out here and all this other stuff, or finding the easy way, or post-blame and all that stuff. You're 30. You've been on this world for 3 decades. 3. Now, what constitutes a loser is somebody who complains all the time. And there were 20-year-old losers, too. You know what I'm saying? But, of course, though, if you're 20, when you fall over, you'll get right back up. All sorts of things and stuff. You don't feel that stuff because, body strong, right? But when you're 30, yeah, you fall over, you feel that shit. When you're 30, you'll feel like all those days you missed out on stretching before your exercises. When you're 30, you'll feel like all that shit it goes wrong because you know what, your body changes, for one. And another thing is, you'll know if you didn't take care of yourself then, you fuck it up royally now. Payment coming due. Just like if you don't put cocoa butter on yourself, keeping that complexion together when you was younger really does pay off. So that you can look great in your later times and stuff. Like, a lot of people look at me and say, damn, son, you don't even look 37. I'm like, well, for one, what does a 37-year-old look like? And another thing is, it's like, brother man take care of himself. Whether I'm swole or roly-poly or whatever, My weight changes just like anybody else's. But it goes like this, though. If you took care of yourself then, you're going to take care of yourself now. If you didn't take care of yourself then, well, it's high time to go ahead and do this stuff, regardless of whatever age you are. The limit of being 30 and stuff like that is whatever the hell you impose on yourself. I'm not as strong as I used to be. My immune system isn't as powerful. Well, that's just natural. That happens. But once again, when you start going about making excuses because you're of a certain age group, don't look to the younger crowd to help you because they don't know any damn better. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll sit right here and say, oh man, you're old. Like, you still use CDs in your car and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, the CD has a better quality than the fucking MP3 and all that stuff. And then records, well, records have a unique sound all their own and along with cassette tapes and all that jazz. But people and all that kind of stuff is like, once again, we need to value all these abilities and all these different ways we enjoy life. We do, God, I don't know if 8-tracks ever come back. Matter of fact, I'm sure somebody found it and did. And Gen Z is finding all of that stuff, and they're over here pretty much doing the Joe Parra thing, where they're young, but they act like older people. They act older than their fucking parents do. It is the wildest thing But, I try to let y'all know this, though. It's like, if you want to do things at a certain age, I'm working on learning the guitar, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm working on, doing things that, once again, would be ascribed for 20-year-olds and stuff. But I don't give a fuck because, well, one, I'm J-Man. And two, because I'm going to have some fun. You know what I mean? I'm going to make this life livable. I told you guys that in the mini bites. That's what I'm going to do. And it's just the limits that other people impose on themselves, they try to impose them on other people. like with video games in general. You know, when you're gaming, you gotta grow up. You gotta stop. Well, I see how being grown worked for you, motherfucker. And let's be perfectly honest, you look miserable. A lot of people out there look miserable as hell. Want to be mundane, want to be average, want to let world issues become their issues. And because because you're not suffering enough like they are, they want to hold it against you. It's kind of like some of you people out there who are in your 30s and still live with your parents. You have a roof over your head. Now, granted, you know, you didn't get to your apartment early, or granted, you know, you didn't get to the idea of home ownership just didn't work with you there for a little bit, right? And it could be because of lack of jobs, it could be because of lack of opportunities you build for yourself, it could be a lot of things, right? See, and the truth is that, like I said before, every story is different. You're not a loser because of that. There are tons of people out there on the street living under bridges or living on tent towns and in shanty towns. I mean, for a while there, they were all over in Kensington. Kensington's moved, though. Like, a lot of the people that were there, they were moved somewhere. So, God knows where they are right now. But the thing about it is, though, is like, lots of people out there are out in the elements, and they have no food and no way of getting by, maybe except for substance abuse. And it's very unfortunate, but hey, you look at them and you're like, oh, they know how to live, don't they? No. Take your time. Live out your story. Go for the things that you want. And not only that, if you living with mama and stuff like that, give mama some rent. You know? I mean, hell, there's nothing wrong with it. You were born in that house. Some of y'all, right? And if your parent, like, because a lot of parents aren't loving. Let's just be honest about that. Like I said, everybody's lifestyle is different. But let's say, like, if your parents or your guardians were loving and they cared about you and stuff like that, and they actually didn't mind opening their house to you, you know, don't feel too bad about being there. And as long as you're helping out the expenses, living with them is a lot different than living off of them. I remember, like, you know, people forget to tell you these things. And it's really a damn shame how, like, one judges another and stuff like that. Yeah, Dave Ramsey losing his fucking mind about that stuff not too long ago. He was on his podcast getting mad about, they will never have the experience of living out there on their own and making their own count. Well, then you go talk to some of these damn landlords out here that got, like, at least $2,000 rent and all that crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? When people are not even bringing home $2,000 like that. You go talk to some of these people that live on waterfronts and they got all the damn stuff jacked up, but the air conditioning doesn't even friggin' work. Or in crime-ridden areas where, like, once again, the building itself is a death trap other than being outside. Why don't you talk to all of them if you're going to go ahead and be, like, a very concerned person? And not only that, why don't you help pay for all of us to get homes then? Dave Ramsey, you got, like, beyond millions and billions of dollars, don't you? Fucking asshole. I say that about a lot of things. Like, you know, my apartment where I live at is reasonable. But, you know, I always think this. You know, I can't wait to move. I can't wait to have the mansion, all that kind of stuff. It's going to happen, but not now. And not on anybody else's beck and call. Even with the women that I go on dates with and stuff like that, you know? Oh, you know, you should go ahead and do this. You know, just because you won't do my plan, I don't want to do your plan. Like, I go through conversations like that a lot. You know? And the thing about it is, it's like, why are you worried about my living space? We're not married. You know, fuck off with that. Your ideal of independent living is a lot different than my idea of independent living. And the thing about independent living and stuff like that, you know, you're not going to get rich if you spend all your damn money out. Some people are out there in places that they cannot even dream or afford to pay for, don't even eat, and you're telling me they got it all figured out. That's dumb. Now, let me tell you this. There's no rule book for life. Never was, never will be. Hell, even the Bible from time to time is a questionable rule book for life. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to denounce that. I mean, like, if you got a belief system in mind and you're very devout to it, I mean, that's up to you. But the truth is this. There's no rule book here. We just try to do the best we can. We try to be law-abiding citizens, I hope. But the thing is also, it's like, you got to go through this at your own pace, at your own differences and stuff like that. Like, there were plenty of opportunities where I could have got rich quick, but the truth is, they were not good companies, and not only that, you know, I wonder how tax evasion does work out before after you get caught. But anyway, I pay mine, so, shit. Maybe that's where I've messed up, But anyway, it's just like this. You got to make life livable for you, and you got to figure out things that you can do. And then, like, when it comes to, like, dealing with other people, sometimes don't give all of your information out there to them, but you tell stories, and you tell, like, where you are and where you want to be at, and the rest of all that stuff is your responsibility to work it out to get to that point. You're not in a midlife crisis. You're just a little older than the average. And let me just say this. Don't go through life being average. Go through life trying to be different. You know what I'm saying? Go through life being somebody that's more than average. Because if you only want to be average, you only want to be like whatever this damn system or institution or society we live in deems as average, it will keep you there. They do not want to see anybody rise up to become anyone prominent for some damn reason. You're supposed to be planting seeds for the future. You're supposed to be planting seeds not only for like just yourself, but for the generations that follow you and things like that. And nobody said it wasn't going to have its problems. I wanted to let you all know that, you can do all this stuff, but we waste our time with dumb shit. Low tier arguments, who got it better, which music had the best films and the best music and all this, which years had the best music and all that stuff. Whereas, like, if you think about it, I hate to say this, though, because a lot of people in jams, they love the 80s and all that stuff, but it's like, guess what? You're here in 2024. Your music respects the 80s, but you're here in 2024. You're in the future. You're not in the future they dreamed of, heaven forbid, but you're in the future that we can make now. All of those people that were on jams, they are the future icons. And I say that a lot. And me? Well, hell, I'm doing the Max Headroom thing, baby. And the truth is, I'm very happy much. But, like, I love doing it. I love doing this stuff. I will be there for them all the time, and I'll be there for the other aspects of J360 Productions and a lot of other independent creators, too. I want to see us all actually take it. But another thing about Future is all of the crazy grifting. But that is a episode for another time. Oh, which reminds me, by the way, speaking of Moolah, if you are listening on Red Circle, that ad will be right here, damn it. Hey, I'm going to keep that up, because, like, y'all need to know about that stuff. And, as I'm doing this episode for you all, I'm just saying, like, get it out of your head, stop the overstatements, stop the generalizations and all that stuff. If you're in your 30s, you're still young enough to do something. If you're in your 40s, you're still able and young enough to do something. If you're in your 50s, whatever the hell you want to do, I guess. The only ones that put these blockers on and all this other stuff is the stupid ass people out here that are allegedly all about sociologists and all that kind of stuff that think, oh yeah, this is the way that this is. Sociology is usually a guess sometimes. It usually is. But as per usual, we all like to take our opinions and make them into facts now, don't we? Yeah. And that's really, really fucking sad, too. But, nope. I just want facts behind this stuff, and I want you all to know this, like, you have your chances. Use them. Okay? Even you old people out here that still want to make music, some of y'all in your 60s and stuff, but you still pull out the bass, you still pull out the Strat, you're still ready to go. Right? Any of y'all that got like crazy things going on with your drumming nowadays, you still love doing it. Nothing stops you but you. And I always wanted to bring that up because, there's too many people that are finding reasons not to do things. And just like when it comes down to like, being an artist and drawing, just fucking do it. Oh, which reminds me, by the way, did you guys hear about that outrage regarding the allegedly like the Last Supper was at the Olympic Games during one of those opening ceremony performances? Stupid. Very stupid. Let me tell you one thing, alright? That was not the Last Supper. That was the festival of Dionysus. Like nobody knows about the Greek gods at all? What you see like a religious or you see like a deity example and then all of a sudden you think it's God in Christ? Well, that's beautiful because in that respect, there's only one God. But they were not talking about the Last Supper. And even then, you do realize that Leonardo da Vinci wasn't actually there at the Last Supper, right? You do realize that all that stuff went on without him being present, right? He know what Jesus looks like as much as you and I do. Let us just be perfectly honest here. That just goes to show people will get offended about any damn thing. Even about, like, Batman the Animated Series being overrated. Oh yeah, I said that because I wanted to hear a lot of y'all. I could just hear y'all screaming out that, no, it's not and stuff. Because you will get outraged over anything. Just as bad as, like, Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Dr. Doom. Which, once again, for better or worse. But as much as I like to go at y'all about that, that's for another episode. But, yeah. I just find it amazing how we're in the future. We're in this society. And we all get triggered or feel out of place or displaced by the most minute, low-tier shit ever made. And the best way to stop it is to say, whatever, I'm living life. Try that. Alright? But anyway, I got to get on out of here and all that stuff because I got a few more things to work on. But we will meet up again on the breakfast episode on Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. Alright? This is J-Man signing off. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
Back-to-school savings are officially in session at Tanger Outlets. Shop tax-free August 2nd through 6th and save up to 70% off the latest school styles. The best of apparel, footwear, accessories, and more. Save at Nike Factory Store, American Eagle, Gap Outlet, Crocs, Under Armour, Banana Republic Factory, and hundreds more. There's always something happening. Discover the latest fun and events all season long. Tanger Outlets, your savings destination.